Welcome everyone to the channel, Insane Criminal Cases. We will tell you about the shocking criminal cases in the world. The topic of today's video will definitely interest you. Now let's find out. George Homer Ryan served as the 39th governor of Illinois from 1999 to 2003. Before his tenure as governor, Ryan had a long career in public service, including roles as the lieutenant governor of Illinois and the Secretary of State. Throughout his career, Ryan was a respected figure in Illinois politics, gaining a reputation as a pragmatic and effective leader. However, his political legacy was marred by a far-reaching corruption scandal that eventually led to his conviction and imprisonment. The corruption case against George Ryan is emblematic of the broader challenges Illinois has faced with political corruption over the decades. Illinois, particularly Chicago and its surrounding political scene, has long been notorious for corrupt political practices, and Ryan's case is one of the most prominent examples of this. Ryan's fall from grace is rooted in various corrupt practices that came to light during his tenure as Illinois Secretary of State and later as governor. This scandal is not only significant because it involves a high-ranking official but also because of the human toll it took. Particularly the tragic deaths of 6 children in a car accident that became linked to the corruption case. Born in 1934 in Maquoketa, Iowa, George Ryan grew up in Kankakee, Illinois, where he eventually followed in his father's footsteps by entering the world of public service. His political career began when he was elected to the Illinois House of Representatives in 1972. Ryan's ascent within Illinois politics was steady and marked by his ability to work across party lines and maintain a practical, business-like approach to governance. He was known for his support of infrastructure projects and efforts to modernize the state's bureaucracy. In 1990, Ryan became Illinois Secretary of State, a position that would later prove to be a significant part of the corruption charges brought against him. As Secretary of State, Ryan oversaw the issuance of driver's licenses, vehicle registrations, and a wide array of other regulatory functions. It was in this office that the seeds of the corruption scandal were planted. The core of the corruption case against George Ryan stemmed from his time as Secretary of State. A large-scale investigation revealed that employees in the Secretary of State's office were engaging in a "licenses for bribes" scheme. In exchange for bribes, truck drivers were able to obtain commercial driver's licenses without passing the proper tests. This practice allowed unqualified drivers to operate large vehicles on public roads, endangering the lives of other motorists. The scandal came to national attention in 1994 when a horrific accident occurred involving a truck driver who had obtained his license through bribery. The truck, operated by an unqualified driver, collided with a minivan carrying 6 children from the Willis family. The van burst into flames, killing all 6 children. This tragedy became a critical turning point in the investigation into the corruption within the Secretary of State's office. Subsequent investigations revealed that the bribe money was being funneled into Ryan's campaign fund. This connection between the corrupt practices in the Secretary of State's office and Ryan's political campaigns became a focal point of the federal investigation. Despite the growing whispers of corruption during his time as Secretary of State, Ryan was elected governor of Illinois in 1998. His governorship was initially marked by several high-profile initiatives, most notably his decision to place a moratorium on the death penalty in Illinois. In 2000, Ryan made the unprecedented move of halting all executions in the state after several death row inmates were found to have been wrongfully convicted. This decision earned him national attention and praise from human rights organizations, as well as criticism from those who supported the death penalty. However, as the corruption investigation gained momentum, the focus shifted away from Ryan's progressive policies to the growing body of evidence suggesting his involvement in illegal activities during his time as Secretary of State. The federal investigation into the corruption within the Illinois Secretary of State's office was dubbed Operation Safe Road. Initially focused on the "licenses for bribes" scheme, the investigation gradually expanded to include broader charges of corruption involving other aspects of Ryan's political operations. The investigation uncovered a range of illegal activities, including the exchange of political favors, misuse of state resources for campaign purposes, and fraudulent contracting practices. Over the course of the investigation, dozens of individuals, including Ryan's close associates and former employees, were indicted and convicted of various crimes. As more people were brought to justice, pressure mounted on Ryan himself. Many of those convicted cooperated with investigators in exchange for reduced sentences, providing crucial testimony against Ryan. In 2003, just as Ryan was leaving office, federal prosecutors indicted him on 22 counts of racketeering, bribery, tax fraud, and other charges. The indictment alleged that Ryan had used his public office to enrich himself and his associates at the expense of the public. Ryan's trial began in 2005 and quickly became a media sensation. The trial was held in Chicago and attracted national attention due to the high-profile nature of the defendant and the sweeping scope of the corruption allegations. The prosecution argued that Ryan had overseen a long-term, systemic corruption operation that involved selling political favors, accepting bribes, and using state resources for personal and political gain. The defense, on the other hand, argued that while there may have been corruption within Ryan's administration, he was not personally involved in or aware of many of the illegal activities taking place. Ryan himself took the stand during the trial, offering an impassioned defense of his actions as a public servant and denying any wrongdoing. Despite his defense, Ryan was convicted on all counts in 2006. The jury found that he had indeed engaged in a broad pattern of corruption that undermined the integrity of his office and endangered the lives of Illinois residents. Ryan was sentenced to 6.5 years in federal prison, marking the end of a long and dramatic fall from grace for the former governor. George Ryan began serving his sentence in 2007 and was released in 2013 after serving more than 5 years in prison. His conviction and imprisonment were part of a broader pattern of political corruption cases in Illinois, which has seen multiple governors and high-ranking officials face legal consequences for corruption over the years. Ryan's downfall also had significant political and legal implications. His case led to calls for greater oversight and transparency in Illinois government, and it contributed to ongoing efforts to combat corruption in the state. The scandal also damaged the Republican Party in Illinois, which had supported Ryan throughout his political career. In the years since his release, Ryan has largely stayed out of the public eye, though he has occasionally spoken about his experiences and his views on the death penalty. Following his conviction, Ryan's annual pension of $197.037 was suspended under state law. Ryan's attorneys litigated the pension issue all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court, which ruled clearly requires that no benefits provided under the system be paid to Ryan. Ryan was paid $635 in pension benefits in the 3 years between his retirement and his political corruption conviction, plus a refund of $235.500 in personal contributions he made during his 30 years in public office. His legacy remains deeply controversial, with some viewing him as a reformer for his stance on capital punishment and others seeing him as a symbol of Illinois' deep-seated problems with political corruption. The corruption scandal surrounding George Ryan is one of the most significant political scandals in Illinois history. It highlights the challenges of maintaining integrity in government and the dangers of unchecked power and influence in the political sphere. While his criminal activities cannot be ignored, his role in sparking a national conversation about the death penalty and wrongful convictions remains a notable aspect of his time in office. Ultimately, the George Ryan scandal serves as a cautionary tale for politicians and citizens alike, illustrating the importance of accountability, transparency, and ethical leadership in public service. Thank you for watching our video. Insane Criminal Cases. Chanel hopes you have had great entertainment moments. Wish you all the best.